Welcome to Caleb's Basketball Pod. For this episode, I'm going to preview a huge matchup tomorrow in the NBA Emerald Cup. And yes, I'm talking about Cleveland at Boston. You have the Cavs at 15-0. You have the Celtics at 11-3. That's a huge matchup. It's not only big implications for the Cup. Cup standings right now, the Celtics dropped their first game to the Hawks, so they're -1. Cleveland beat the Bulls by 18, so they're plus 18. So this is huge implications because if you're Boston, if you win this game, that 1 point loss doesn't mean anything depending on how much you win this game by. So you still have ground to make up, but you're on the right path. But if you lose this game, you're almost necessarily out of the Cup. Unless you can somehow try to be one of the two wild cards, but even that looks slim. So it's a huge game for both teams. Cleveland's 15-game undefeated streak is on the line as well in Boston. Cleveland's been playing great offense. They are top 6 in both offense and defense in the NBA. One of only two teams to be top 6 in offense and defense, the other team being the Golden State Warriors. And we did see Boston drop a game to the Golden State Warriors in Boston a couple weeks back. So we have a very interesting matchup. It will be interesting to see how... We know Boston can guard anyone with their lineup. It'll be interesting to see if Cleveland can do the same. Is Boston going to try to find Darius Garland and try to get the switch, try to get him switched on Tatum or Brown like they did in the playoffs? And if so, how long can Cleveland keep Garland in the game if he's getting mismatched? Does the double team come? Is someone else open? Can you rotate quick enough? Is that open threes? There's a lot of questions being answered on that side. But the other thing is Boston's defense going to be able to slow down Cleveland's offense? Cleveland has been tearing it up, dropping 144 against the Chicago Bulls and 128 against the Charlotte Hornets. So you have to slow that offense down to yourself. So we know Boston's capable of it with their defense. We know they'll still be without Kristaps Porzingis. Everyone else of their starting lineup that won them an NBA championship should be healthy and available. As for Cleveland, they should get Donovan Mitchell back, who missed the game against Charlotte last night due to rest. Seems status on Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro is unknown at this moment. But it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Also, the bench game will be interesting. Who wins the bench battle? You've had Peyton Pritchard coming in and just going off. 20-point games off the bench, averaging like near 17 points. You've had Karis LeVert having some decent games, shooting a lot better off the bench. You've also seen Ty Jerome taking advantage of minutes off the bench and dropping 24 in his solo Cleveland start last night against the Charlotte Hornets. You also see Jason Tatum is playing at an MVP level, averaging like 31 points a game. He is balling out. He is just playing the way I said he needed to play before the season started. So we're seeing that. Will Tatum's dominant streak continue? We saw he hit a game-winning 3 against the Toronto Raptors that the NBA would later on the next day say would have been called for traveling, but it wasn't. And what it was a game winner at the buzzer to down the Toronto Raptors in overtime. And that was a big win for Boston too. Everyone's going to give them their best shot. You're the NBA champs. You go anywhere, you're getting everyone's best shot. So you just want to handle it. It helps you as you move on. It helps you for the playoffs because you're playing this intense atmosphere every game you play in. So if you're Boston, you have to love it. Grind it out. Do what you do. Do how you won your championship. Grind these games out. Close them with Tatum. Close them with Brown. Take turns. Mix and match. Try different things. I feel Cleveland's done the same thing throughout the season of people wanting to end this undefeated streak. I feel like they've ended games different ways each time. So, with all that said, we are in for one of the premier matchups in this early NBA season. Speaking of premier matchups, we saw Dallas and Golden State a few nights ago, where we saw Golden State hand Dallas the loss in one of Dallas's 1-7 clutch games, which is just bad. And I don't want to keep saying this because I've said this a lot, But when you have Kyrie, Luka Doncic, and Klay Thompson, you should not be 1-7 in the clutch. So there's a lot of things Dallas needs to figure out. But I think a lot of it too is if Luka don't seem healthy. He doesn't seem like he's at that level yet. And it seems like we say this at the start of every NBA season nearly since Luka's been in the league. That Luka's not there yet. He's not in shape. He's not healthy. Always at the start of the season. Then towards the end of the season, he goes off most of the time and takes them deep in the playoffs, as we've seen multiple times. But if Dallas wants to have a shot to go that far in the playoffs, Luka needs to give more sooner because the West is so stacked. You don't want to find yourself at like the 10th or 11th seed come January and having a couple months try to fight your way out of that play-in when teams like Oklahoma, Golden State, Houston, Denver, they're starting to make their mark in the league. I mean, you don't want to get too far behind those teams. Houston's won 5 straight. Houston's like 10-4. That's impressive. I don't know that a lot of people expected this well from them this early. But I expected they'd be good. I expected they'd be around a 6th or 7th seed, which it looks like they're going to be around at this moment. Also be interesting to see another team. The Lakers are playing really good basketball. The Suns are up and down, but when KD comes back, you have to expect they're going to be playing like they were before he got injured. The Wolves have to figure it out because the Wolves' defense has been really, really bad this year. They go from number 2 last year, number 1 or number 2 last year to really low this season. Now they're back up to 9, but they need to make up ground and they need to figure it out quick because they're dropping a lot of close games. They got beat 2 straight times by the Portland Trailblazers. If you want to be a top team in Western Conference, you can't lose. You can't even really lose once to the Trailblazers in your conference, let alone losing twice to them. Like, Minnesota has a lot of ground makeup. Dallas has a lot of ground makeup. And let's not forget that these were our Western Conference finals just a season ago. So it just shows how talented this league is and just how talented, everyone, there's no easy wins in the NBA. Speaking of no easy wins, I want to talk about Victor Wembanyama. Man's been dropping 50, averaging 36 in his last 4 games. I just want to say this is what we expected from Wembanyama, and now we're seeing it come to fruition. So we're loving what we're seeing from Wembanyama. We know he's a future superstar, but he may be a superstar sooner than anyone expects if his 3-point shot keeps falling like he is right now, because it's insane. The stuff he's doing at his height, it should be able to be done, but it is. And he's tearing the roof off everywhere he goes. Like, the way he's playing, the style he's playing, and it seems like the ball's in his hands more. He's not hesitating. Him and Chris Paul's getting that 2-man game down. It's just, I'm loving the growth I'm seeing from his game. And who knows? I mean, if they keep playing in San Antonio, they may be around that 10th seed at least. They may have a shot at that play-in. So it'll be interesting to see where they land. Let's go to our pick of the day. For our pick of the day, we have the Orlando Magic at the Phoenix Suns. We have the Suns at +4.5. I'm going to pick Orlando on this, and I'm going over 205. So, like I said, we previewed that big Cleveland-Boston matchup tomorrow on TNT. You don't want to miss that one. I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'll recap. I'll talk about what happened in that game and much more. Don't go anywhere.